Why do we do lawn care? Is it because it makes our house look nice? Maybe it's fun to walk on, fun to look at? No. We do lawn care for one reason and one reason only. That's to dominate our neighbors. And today, I'm going to show you how. Let's get out of the weeds. Here I am from my backyard oasis, and as you can see behind me, my domination is strong. So today I'm going to teach you all about fertilizing your lawn. I'm going to show you which fertilizers to buy and how to put it on your yard. Fertilizer provides a variety of components to keep your yard green, but I want to focus on 4 main components: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and iron. Nitrogen provides 2 things. It helps with the top growth and helps make your lawn green. Phosphorus helps with your grass's root growth. Potassium helps with the overall general health of your lawn. And finally, iron is what makes your grass that extra layer of dark green. The nitrogen gets your grass green, the iron gets it extra dark. And so those are the 4 that I want to focus on in this video today and for you guys to get started. On every bag of fertilizer that you see, there's always going to be an analysis listed on the back of the bag. So here's the fertilizer I'm going to be using today, and you can see the numbers 430. Anytime you see this, the first number is nitrogen, the second number is phosphorus, and the third number is potassium. And so what those numbers represent are percentages inside this fertilizer. So this entire bag is made up of 4% nitrogen, 3% phosphorus, and there is no potassium in this. And then the 4th one I said was iron, and if you look right here, iron, there is 1.5% iron in this bag. The nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium will always be the 3 numbers you see listed on the bag. But make sure you always flip over the bag to see if there is any iron in it as well, because a lot of fertilizers don't have iron in them. Many of them may say on the front of the bag, but a lot of times you need to flip it over and check on the back to see if it's actually in there. It's important to note that nitrogen is going to be the main factor when fertilizing your lawn. Your lawn uses up the nitrogen the quickest, and so it's what needs replenished most often. There'll be many times with different fertilizers where they may not have potassium or phosphorus in them, and that's because with phosphorus and potassium, your lawn uses them up at a much lower rate, and so a lot less is needed to keep your lawn healthy. There are 2 types of fertilizers: synthetic and organic. So starting with synthetic fertilizers, those are going to be your Scott's 4-step program that you see in most of your big box stores. You'll see just lawn food, general fertilizer, things like that, starter fertilizer. Most of those are all going to be synthetics. And a way to tell if it's a synthetic fertilizer is look at the numbers on it. Most of the time, the numbers for the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are all going to be a little bit higher than what you're going to see against an organic fertilizer. So now with organic fertilizers, those are going to be made of organic material, and so it's going to be also not only providing the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium your lawn needs, but it will also be helping just your overall soil health with all the organic material that you'll be putting down. And one thing to note with those is usually their number of percentage of those 4 main ingredients will usually be lower than what you see with synthetics, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting less. It usually just means that you're going to be putting the fertilizer down at a much higher rate than what you put down as synthetic fertilizer. One thing that I do like about organic fertilizers is that they are non-burning, so that you do not have to worry about burning your lawn. And so even if you dumped a pile on your lawn, it will not kill the lawn. An easy way to tell if your fertilizer is organic or not is to just look at the advertising on the bag. With your organic fertilizers, most of the time look for the keywords, either organic, or you'll see natural, you'll see non-burning, different things like that. So if you look here, you read on this and it says natural choice to fertilizing. this tells you here that this is definitely a natural fertilizer. So for those reasons I mentioned earlier, organic fertilizer is what I recommend if you are just getting started in lawn care. It's super easy to put down. It is funner to put down because it actually goes down at higher rates, which I'll talk about here in a second. And then also there is no chance of burning your lawn. So there are a wide variety of organic fertilizers that you can get. The most common one that a lot of people have heard of is called Milorganite. Milorganite is a really good fertilizer. I actually am wearing a hat for it. But Milorganite is also really hard to find because of how popular it is. There are many other places you can get organic fertilizers. The one that I use and I'll be using in today's video is Menard's natural fertilizer. Next is how often do we fertilize? What I recommend is to either do two things. To either fertilize monthly, which is what I do, just every month, every 4 to 5 weeks, I put down fertilizer, or fertilize around the holidays of the year. So the holiday schedule will begin at Easter. So you will throw down fertilizer at Easter, then Memorial Day, the 4th of July, then Labor Day, then Halloween, and then finally Thanksgiving for your winterizer application. One thing I do not recommend though is do not get weed and feed. I will walk you guys through taking care of weeds in our lawn at a later video. This is because it's a little more complicated to actually get it to work right. The other thing is that this program is going to get your lawn so healthy and thriving so much that weeds aren't going to be as big of a problem as what they are when they get started. And so with me, when I first got started, I had a lot of different weeds. But now, after I've started to fertilize and mow properly and water properly, my lawn doesn't get near the weeds that it used to, just because I'm doing everything else how it should be. The first thing you're going to need to start fertilizing is a spreader. Scott's spreaders are a very good beginner spreader for you guys to use because they're very easy to use and they're pretty good quality for the price that you pay. As you will see if you look online, spreaders can come from anywhere from $20 to $30 all the way to $300 to $400. So I think for just beginners getting started, the Scott's spreaders are a very good place to start. One thing to note though, the spreader that I have here today, it's a mini spreader. So it's a small spreader. And so if you have a bigger lawn, you probably should upgrade to the next size up to get started. It has a little bit bigger hopper, so it'll be able to hold more fertilizer, so you don't have to keep walking back and putting more fertilizer in the middle of your applications. Also with Scott's spreaders, any fertilizer you ever buy, since Scott's is such a big brand, their fertilizer setting is just on the back of the bag. So if you look, even I'll put it on the screen here, the fertilizer I'm putting down today, you can look on the back and you can just see the exact spreader that I'm using and what setting to put the spreader on. So let's get started with how to work the spreader. So as you can see here, we have our dial here with a different set of numbers. And so what happens is each number on the dial correlates with how big the opening is down here. And so what you will do is any fertilizer that you buy, you will be able to just look on the bag, see what the number is. That is giving you the rate that this fertilizer will go down. So all you need to do is just load up the hopper and start putting it on your lawn. Another thing I like about some of these Scott spreaders is they have this edge guard on here. So you can see you can turn it on and off here. So what it does is it blocks any fertilizer from shooting off to the right. So what you can do is do your edges. So whenever you're on the edge, you can get right up close to an edge and fertilize right on the edge without it going over. So if you're up against a sidewalk or your neighbor's property line, you can keep any fertilizer from spilling out onto the sidewalks or any fertilizer from getting on your neighbor's property, because we don't want your neighbor's property to be dark green. We want yours to. Sometimes I like to go down my neighbor's property line 1, maybe 2, sometimes 3 or 4 times, just to get extra fertilizer there to make it extra dark. So now, if you haven't already, go back and watch the just quick 2-minute video I posted about how to measure your lawn, because it's going to be very important to know exactly how much fertilizer you need to buy. And if you are wondering, once you know the square footage of your lawn, you can just look at the bag. So you can see here, this fertilizer I'm putting down, it's the natural fertilizer from Menards. And what it does is it covers 2,500 square feet. So I will put a map up on the screen of exactly how much my lawn is, broken down by section, which it comes to equal just about a little over 10,000 square feet. So if I know exactly how big each section of my lawn is, it'll be very easily to determine how much goes on each section. A couple of things to note is, first is, what does organic fertilizer look like? So you can see it's just usually this kind of real dark, just small prill size, and it's usually just this consistent same color. Every organic fertilizer I've ever put down, they all kind of look just about that same way. With synthetic fertilizers, a lot of them will be different colors, and you'll have just different size prills. So these are actually prills. You can see these are real small, so they actually go through the spreader really good. Sometimes when you get prill sizes that are pretty big, they don't go through the spreaders near as nicely. So one thing I want to highlight here in this next part is with organic fertilizers, they go down at a much higher rate. So this number here is going to be a lot higher than what, say, if you do one of the Scott's 4-step fertilizers, their number might be down all the way down at like a 6 or a 5, so the opening of the spreader isn't going to be that wide, whereas with running this at a 12, the opening of the spreader is really wide, so a lot of product is going out onto the yard. And so it's actually a lot more fun to fertilize, just because it feels like there's so much product just pouring out onto the lawn. So it's just a lot of fun, as opposed to some of the synthetic ones that are going down at a much lower rate. So you want to start with the edges of whatever area you are doing first. So you can see here I'm going around the entire edge of my backyard. After that, I will make passes back and forth, making sure I'm throwing fertilizer to the previous line I walked. And what you want to do is walk with a pace that is a little bit of a fast walk. You want to kind of put a little bit of butt into it. So I ran out of fertilizer here, and you can see the fertilizer actually spills on the lawn here. So thankfully I was using organics, so I do not have to worry about it burning out that spot. But if that happens, make sure you go and pick up any excess that's on the lawn and try to get it back in the hopper. Once you get done with all your passes, if you still have some left over like I do here, start to go the opposite direction until the hopper is empty to give an even application. One final thing to note, if you spill fertilizer like I did here, make sure you clean it up, because if you don't, it will leave orange stains on your sidewalks. So be sure to clean it up if and when you spill it. And trust me, if you do this long enough, you will spill it. And so with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time when we get out of the weeds and into a beautiful lawn.